Hi, just so you know, all programs in this video have links in the description below. You could click on them, open it up, practice it for yourself and understand better. And don't forget to subscribe. Happy watching. We begin with lists where we're going to be creating lists. We look at nested lists, indexing and slicing lists, list operators, list methods, traversing lists using for loops, linear search on list of numbers, and counting the frequency of elements in a list. Now, a list is created by placing all the items or elements inside square brackets and they're separated by commas. It can have any number of items and each one of these could be a different data type, integer, float, string, etc. Unlike strings, lists are mutable. That means that you can change elements within the list later. Let's look at creating lists in different ways. We start off with giving a set of integers in a square bracket and we assign it to a variable that becomes a list. If we give different multiple data types, we can put them in square brackets, assign them to a variable that is also a list. We can use the list constructor function to change a string. In this case, we've used hello world. If we see the output, the list constructor function has changed each letter of the string into an element of the list. We can also change a tuple using the list constructor function into a list. And since we know that lists are mutable, if we replace the element at index 0 by another number 100, in this case, when we output it, we will see that it has replaced it permanently. We now briefly look at nested list. We take a variable temp underscore list to which we've assigned these values, out of which two elements are also lists. So these are called nested lists. In case we want to output a list, we'll have to give the index of that list. So that is temp underscore list 1. It will output a list of numbers. In case we want to output a number from within the nested list, we need to give the index of the element and the index of the element within the nested list. So here we get the output as 18. Now, indexing and slicing in list works just like it works in strings. The index of each item in the list starts from 0, goes up to n minus 1. And when the list is read from the end, then we start from the index minus 1, go up to index minus n. Let's look at indexing and slicing a list. Now, if we have a list of numbers and we want to output each index, we start by giving the name of the list and in square brackets, we write the number of index. So we start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We will get all these elements from the list. In case we start writing minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and go up to minus 6, we will notice that we get it in the reverse order. To remove a part of the list or a slice of the list, we use two indexes, the starting and one more than the ending index. So if we say 2:5, it will extract elements from index 2 up to index 4. So if we notice, the output is 17, 59, and 70. In case we give only one index, then put a colon. It will start from that index and then go up till the end. In case we do not give an index and then put a colon and give an index, it will start from the beginning and go up to one less than the index given. If we give a reverse index, it starts from -5, but it will go to one less than -1, that is -2. Another way of extracting from the list is using a step size. We can write double colon and n, which indicates a step size n-1. So if we say double colon 2, we basically mean step size 1. So it's going to output from the list index 0, ignore index 1, output index 2, ignore index 3, output index 4, and ignore index 5. If we give n as 3, the step size is 2. So it's going to give the output from 0, ignore the next 2, give the fourth index, and then ignore the next 2. If we give double colon, it's going to just give us the entire string. The concatenation operator works just like it did in strings. Now, in lists, we use the plus operator to merge or join two strings. And in order to change the original list, we need to reassign the concatenated lists to it. The replication operator also works the same way as it did in strings. We can use the multiplication sign asterisk to replicate a list many times over. We look at concatenation and replication with an example. We have first list is a set of numbers, and we add another list of numbers to it. In case we output this, we will get an extended list. But if we output the first list again, it will show us the original list. So the change has not been made permanent. And to do that, we need to assign this concatenated list back or reassign it to the variable and then output it. Now the change is permanent. In case we want to replicate a list, we simply multiply it by a number. If we take a list called days list and multiply it by 3, we will get an output which will show that the list has been replicated 3 times. We use the in and not in operators to check whether an element is a member of the list or not. These are called membership operators, and we use them with the if statement. The in operator will check whether the element is present and return true if it is. The not in operator will check if the element is not present within a list and return true. In this example, we've taken A as 55, B as 15, and we use if A in new list, A is present in the given list, else A is not present, and we use if B not in new list, then print B is not present in the given list, else print B is present. So in case of A, it shall return it is present in the list, and in case of B, it will return B is not present in the given list. We have the len function to find how many items are there in the list. Min function is used to find the minimum value in a list of numbers. The max function similarly finds the maximum value in a list of numbers, and the sum function helps us find the sum of numbers in a list. We'll now use the max, min, and sum functions on a list, and we take a list of numbers and first find the length of the number using the function len. It will output 6, that is the number of items in this list. We take max, it will output the maximum value in the list of numbers. Min will output the minimum value in the list of numbers. Sum will add all these numbers in the list. We can also use sum upon len to find the average. We see that if we use the function mean from the module statistics, it will also give us the same output. We'll now look at some methods which are specific to lists and they help manipulate lists. The first one we're looking at is append, which adds one or more elements. It can also add a list at the end of another list. The clear method removes all the elements from the list. It takes no argument. Copy returns a copy of the list. The count method returns the number of elements which we have specified as value in the parameter. We look at some examples of append, clear, copy, and count method. We start with a variable new list to which we've assigned some values. We append another string to this list, and we'll notice that when we try an output, this has added the string at the last index. We can also add another list to new list, and we see that the output shows the new list added at the end of this list. We also have a copy function which is used to copy the new list into another variable list1. And if we try and output list1, we will see that it's output the entire list again. We can use the method count to see how many times the value 12 has occurred in the list X, and it has output 3. If we use the method clear with new list and try and output the list, we'll see that now it returns an empty list. The extend method adds elements of a list to the end of the current list. And the enumerate method adds a counter to an iterable. That means in this case, we're talking about a list, and it returns it. The extend method can be used to extend a list just like we did in append. We use list1 and a dot operator and then extend it to list2. The output will now show the list1 as an extended list. The enumerate method is used to generate a counter along with the elements of the list, and by default it will take the index along with each element. However, we can change that if we start by writing the name of the list and give it a number, then it starts counting from that number onwards. Index returns the index of a specified value. In case that value occurs multiple times inside a list, it will return the first occurrence of that value. Insert adds an element at a specified position or index. Pop removes the element at the specified index. In case we don't give it an index, it will remove the last element. Remove method is used to remove the item which we give as value to it. Let's see the usage of index, insert, pop, and remove methods in lists. We start with the variable marks, which has stored some numbers. We say index 80, it will return 2, which is the first time it has encountered the value 80. The index of 67 has been output as 0, although 67 is at 2 places. Use the insert method to insert not present at index 1 and not well at index 5. And when we output this list again, we'll notice that the list now includes not present at index 1 and not well at index 5. We take another list, list1, and we use the method pop without specifying any index. We see that it has removed the last item from the list. If we say pop 1, it will remove the item from index 1, that is PHP has been removed. If we use the method remove to remove the element apple, we'll notice that now this list does not have element apple in it. The reverse method reverses the order of the list and sorts the list in ascending order. The reverse method is used to reverse a list. So here we have a list of fruit, mango, apple, banana, and cherry. And if we reverse this, it will start with cherry, banana, apple, and mango. In case we use the sort method, the same list will be sorted in the ascending order alphabetically. In case we want to change this to the descending order, we can use a combination of sort and reverse, and we'll get the same list in the descending order. This can be also done with numbers. So we use a list marks and pass some numbers to it as values. And if we sort this, it will be sorted in the ascending order. Since lists are sequences with deterministic ordering, we can use the len and range functions along with the for loop to look at each item in the list or traverse a list. To traverse a list, we use a for loop and we take the list. The length of the list is taken in the range function, so it will start from 0 by default, go up to length -1 of the list. And here we say for I in range, len my list. So it's going to print the index along with the value at that index. So its output 0, the value is 5, 1, value is 7, so on till 5. So since the length is 6, it's going to go up to index 5. We can also use a step size in the for loop by starting from 0 and give x as the length of the list and take a step size 2. In this case, we'll get index 0, then we'll get index 2 and index 4. It can also be done similarly for strings. We can use the for loop to search for a value in the list, and we can also count the frequency of a particular element or a value in a list. We now start a linear search of a number within a list of numbers, and we're going to use the variable mylist with a set of numbers. We're going to take a user input. We then use a for loop in which we have an if statement to check whether the number exists in the list or not. If it does, we will return the index and break the for loop, else we will print the element not found. Notice that we are using the break statement, and in this case, the else statement has been placed outside the for loop. In this case, we've taken the input as 12, and then we see that the output here is the element found at index 2. We can also use the same for loop and if statement to check how many times 12 occurs in this particular list. In this case, we will take a variable counter, which will keep incrementing as soon as if encounters the number n input by the user, else it will continue looking without incrementing the counter. So in the end, it outputs the value of the counter as 3. That means 12 has occurred 3 times within this list. So that was a little bit about lists. I hope you've understood. You can always click on the links below and do the programs yourself. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.